I read 50 books in 2025, and here are the 10 I recommend you read in 2026. I'm gonna go genre by genre, starting off with fantasy and ending with thriller. I did read a variety of genres this year, or I guess last year, so I think that's why making a top 10 list was actually really difficult, because I feel like within each genre I have a few favorites. So starting off with fantasy, I read the Prison Healer trilogy, and I think I gave the first one a 4 or something. I think it was a low 4, but by the third book I gave it a 5-star. I really like how it wrapped up. I really struggled with the first book, like getting really into the characters and caring about them, but by the end I really enjoyed the series, and to be honest, I don't remember a lot about it. Kiva thought she knew what she wanted: revenge, but feelings change, people change, everything has changed. So through the series you learn so much about Kiva, her family, who she can trust, her friends, and I feel like there were moments where I thought I knew who was trustworthy and wasn't, and then it'd flip-flop, and overall I just think this series as a whole should be added to your TBR in 2026 if you have not read it. It's technically fantasy, but I feel like it's very low-end fantasy. Another fantasy book I think you should add to your TBR this year is Conform. Only reason I picked this book up was because I saw it was Jenna Bush Hager's first book under her publishing house, and so I was like, okay, I'll add this to my list. Had no idea what it was about. I think I saw a clip that said it was like dystopian, and I was like, yes, I could use a good dystopian. It's been ages since we've had one of these good ones, and I think this one is gonna fill the gap, fill the void of like Divergent Hunger Games era. There are a lot of times where you'll see a book marketed as for fans of Hunger Games, and it's not always true. I feel like people just use that as a hook to get people in, but this one is true. If you liked Hunger Games and Divergent, I think you'll like this. It's kind of YA. Actually, is it YA? I don't know how old she is. And they do have sex. So I don't know if it's classified as YA. In the far future, one young woman finds herself torn between two loves and two sides of a rebellion boiling under the surface. Centuries after a catastrophic world war nearly decimated the human population, a city arose from the ashes ruled by an elusive and technologically advanced group called the Ilium. At 27, okay, so not a YA, technically, right? Is that what makes it a YA if she's under 18? So basically, they have these mates. You get picked with this partner, and you have to go through this procreation phase where if they like you, they will procreate with you, and you are just like chosen to be together. The person who chose her is part of a high power. It's the first time an Ilium has taken a mate in decades, and you don't really know why Colin has chosen Emmeline. We don't really figure that out in book 1, but I think we're gonna learn more about that in book 2, why he chose her specifically. It seems like he knows something about her that we don't know, or that he's not telling us. But the whole book, you're like, who can you trust? Can you trust this friend that she met through work who's kind of leading a rebellion, or can you trust this person who's part of the Ilium, this high power? You just don't know like who's telling you the truth. I am so excited for book 2. However, I need to stop picking up books that are at the very beginning of a trilogy. The next book that's coming out is a prequel. If you are looking for a dystopian, something to fill the void of like 2012-ish era books, definitely pick that one up. I only have one book in the romance category, but I do have another contender that didn't make my overall top 10, but if I'm looking at just romance, I have a few other contenders I'll add to the list. Summer in the City by Alex Astor was my favorite romance of 2025. I read this after reading a bunch of like flops for me, and this was exactly what I needed at the time I needed it. So I think all that to say, it might not be the best romance ever, but it is a rom-com, and I think it was done well. 27-year-old screenwriter Elle has a chance of a lifetime to write a big budget movie set in New York City. In a desperate attempt at inspiration, Elle ends up back in the city she swore she would never return to. It's a perfect place to write her screenplay, until she realizes her new neighbor is tech billionaire bachelor Parker Warren, her stairwell hookup from 2 years ago. It's been a lovers to enemy situation ever since. I will say, I don't think I remembered the enemy part being like actually believable, but Alex did a good job of capturing New York City as an essence and like describing things, but not going over the top with too much detail. It was quick to the point. I could visualize it, but I didn't need to spend 10 pages visualizing it, if that makes sense. I have read her other books, Light Lark, that whole series. I think romance, rom-com is kind of better suited for her. We'll see what her other books do, but I feel like even if you didn't like Light Lark, you might enjoy this one. So don't write her off as an author completely, because I think this one is a little bit redeeming to the Light Lark saga, I guess it is now. The other romance, I guess I didn't read too many romances last year, but the other romance I'd recommend is One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. If you haven't read that, read the first book, whatever it's called. Every Summer After. Read that one first and then read this one. Those are perfect books for the summer, those two in particular. I did read another one by her that I didn't like as much, so I do recommend these two in this world. I appreciated. Moving on to general fiction, The Wedding People. Trigger warning, suicide, and miscarriage for this one, which I didn't know about and I read when I was like 3 months pregnant, so that part I kind of just skipped over. To be honest, this was like one of the first books I read in 2025. I don't remember much of it except that I did like it and I thought there were good takeaways from it. There are some mentions of COVID and I didn't love that, but it made sense for the plot, so I was okay with it. The Wedding People is about Phoebe Stone, who arrives at the Grand Cornwall Inn wearing a green dress and gold heels. She's immediately mistaken by everyone in the lobby for one of the wedding people, but she's actually only a guest at the Cornwall who isn't here for the big event. Meanwhile, the bride has accounted for every detail and every possible disaster the weekend might yield for, except, well, Phoebe and Phoebe's plan, which makes it that much more surprising when the two women can't stop confiding in each other. That description does not talk about suicide whatsoever, and I really do think something like that should be in a description or some sort of trigger warning somewhere, because that's what she's there for. She's there to kill herself. And she meets the bride in the elevator. She's like, no, you can't kill yourself. This is my wedding weekend. Like, you can't do that. I can't have this. And then they become kind of like friends and whatever. I guess I haven't been telling you what stars I've given, so let me go back. I gave The Blood Trader 5 stars. I gave Conform 4 stars and Somewhere in the City 4 stars. I also gave The Wedding People 4 stars. I know a lot of people around me gave this 5 stars, but I'm really stingy with 5 stars. A lot of the books I added to this list are actually 4-star reads. I didn't read a ton of historical fiction in 2025. I did in 2024. I read a lot of Kristen Hanna. I was kind of over that by this year. What Kind of Paradise I really did like. This is basically about a girl who lives in a cabin in the woods that's super secluded with her dad, and he kind of has her shielded from the outside world. It's in the 90s. You're growing up with technology, and he, for whatever reason, you find this out, but like you don't know it for the most part, he does not like technology. He doesn't want her to be on the internet talking to other people, going into town, like all this stuff. The whole time you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? And then something does happen and you're like, oh my God, how is she gonna move on from this? And then she moves on from this and you're like, okay, the ball is gonna drop at any moment. What's gonna happen? And I thought it was really well written. I listened to it on audio, but basically Jane doesn't know anything about her life. She knows her dad's lying to her. Her name's not her real name. She finds all this stuff out and knows he's been hiding something. And I will say I gave this a 4-star, and the only reason I gave it a 4-star was because once you finally have that moment, it wasn't that exciting. It wasn't as exciting as I was expecting it to be, I guess. So it was still like, oh my God, but not as much as I felt like it was gonna be. But still a solid 4-star for me. Still, when I look back on the year, this is one of my top books, and I do recommend you read it. Moving on to sci-fi, which I feel like was a new category for me. I'd have to look back on 2024, but I'm pretty sure sci-fi was a new genre for me. Starting off with The Memory Collectors. What would you do if you could spend an hour in your past? 4 strangers in the beach town of Ventura, California are about to find out. But when their hour extends beyond 60 minutes, they find themselves stranded in the past. As their pasts intertwine unexpectedly, they unearth shocking secrets hidden in the shadows of their shared experience. I give this a 4-star. It had multiple point of views and multiple timelines, but it was understandable. It wasn't confusing and I did enjoy it. There's this company that allows you to go back in time for an hour, but something happens where these group of people, they get stuck in the past. And this is a big deal for the company because that's not supposed to happen and that can like mess with things. But they're back in the past and they're trying to figure out why. And the whole plot is kind of like a mystery in a way because you're trying to figure out why the 4 of them were chosen and how do their pasts connect. And as chapter by chapter goes on, you see pasts connecting, and I really love when a story unfolds in a nice way like that. So I give this a 4-star. If you were looking for an easy sci-fi, this is a good one to start with. Moving on to thriller and mystery, I put The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers. I gave this a 4-star. The ending was so shocking to me. I would have never predicted it. And I'm not usually someone who predicts endings of thrillers, but this one I just never would have saw coming. Basically, 2 women are haunted by their sister's unsolved disappearances, and they band together to figure out what happened. As you're going on, you're getting more suspects, and things are like, you think it's going in one direction, and then it doesn't. And I really enjoyed this one. But if you're looking for a good thriller that maybe you won't see the ending coming, I would add this one to your list. Another thriller I liked is Everyone Is Watching. I gave this one 4 stars. This one is like Big Brother and Survivor, and this was on a list on Goodreads. Like, if you enjoy Survivor, you'll like these books, and I did enjoy this book. The synopsis says 5 contestants have been chosen to compete for $10 million on the game show One Lucky Winner. The catch? None of them knows what or who to expect, and it will be live streamed all over the world. Completely secluded in an estate in Northern California with strict instructions not to leave the property in zero contact with the outside world, the competitors start to feel a little too isolated. I did enjoy this one because it felt like you were really there, first of all, but then you also saw people commenting. Like in the book, you could see like live chats of people watching. You just got to see like their thoughts, which is exactly what it would be like in real life if you were watching Big Brother, people on TikTok or Instagram or in comments or whatever, talking about the show and who they think is good, bad, suspicious, whatever. I don't remember the ending. I do remember being a little bit surprised by it. I think you're gonna find that out with me, is I can enjoy a book and I can remember enjoying a book, but I don't remember a lot of details. I do remember this one being written well and better than some other ones I've read similar to this idea. Broken Country is my first 5-star that I'm talking about today, and I really, really enjoyed this one. This one was another one that has multiple timelines and multiple point of views, but it was done well and easy to understand, and I love when that happens. I love multiple point of views, but it's not always done well. And this one, I feel like the story unveiled in a very natural and interesting way. It wasn't, I don't know, I guess sometimes I dislike when a story is unveiled in a perfect cookie cutter way where like you were never gonna guess the ending because there was no clues or no hints or anything that was there for you to be able to guess or predict what was going to happen. Beth and her gentle, kind husband Frank are happily married, but the relationship relies on the past staying buried. But when Beth's brother-in-law shoots a dog going after their sheep, Beth doesn't realize that the gunshot will alter the course of their lives, for the dog belonged to none other than Gabriel Wolf, the man Beth loved as a teenager. The man who broke her heart years ago. Gabriel has returned to the village with his young son Leo, a boy who reminds Beth very much of her own son, who died in a tragic accident. As Beth is pulled back into Gabriel's life, tensions around the village rise and dangerous secrets and jealousies from the past resurface, this time with deadly consequences. Beth is forced to make a choice between the woman she once was and the woman she has become. I truly did not know where it was gonna go, and I love that. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend. Now for my last couple recommendations, I'm just gonna quickly go through them. The Ex-Girlfriend Murder Club was basically John Tucker Must Dies, but very goofy. It's not a thriller mystery like, oh my god, what's gonna happen, suspenseful. It's just a silly little murder. And I don't know, I just kind of enjoyed it for that aspect, and it didn't take itself too seriously, and for that, I didn't take it too seriously, and I enjoyed it. I wasn't going in thinking it was gonna be this captivating, oh my god, what's gonna happen, like, thing. I just was along for the ride, and I enjoyed it. An easy mystery to end this video up, but some other picks I had were My Wife the Serial Killer, another thriller mystery. I remember liking this one because the main character, well, the two main characters were husband and wife. The female was the serial killer, and she, I feel like, was anxious in a way where it was not only believable, but you were like, what is she gonna do? Because she's not that great at this. And so you were a little bit, not stressed, but like not knowing what to expect because she wasn't great at what she was doing. The husband is a cop investigating the cases that she is involved in. And I just really enjoyed how this story kind of like wrapped up. Sunrise on the Reaping is another book I enjoyed. I feel like everyone knows about this book and knows about Hunger Games, so I didn't really feel like it was worth diving into too much, but I definitely really did enjoy my time reading, or I guess listening to Sunrise on the Reaping. This was sad. That was a sad book, but I very much love Hunger Games, and I think because of that, it was easy for me to give this a 5-star. Just because I love going back into the world. I loved seeing the cameos of people, parents, I guess, from the Hunger Games that we know, and seeing how like all these paths kind of connected before we even met the characters, and I'm really, really excited for the movie. Definitely recommend reading this if you have not. I just feel like everyone has read it, so that's why I didn't really add it to the main list. Another book I enjoyed was 0 stars, do not recommend. I gave it a 3, but I do remember kind of liking it. So maybe it was like a high 3, low 4, I don't know. Basically, White Lotus, if the sun blew up and you're on this big fancy resort, and what would happen if there's no sun? And how would societies react. And so it's White Lotus in the sense that like it's rich versus poor, and they're on this like fun little resort. Just a fun, different read. And because of that, I think that's why I enjoy it. I look back on this and I'm like, why did I give it a 3 if I feel like I remember liking it? But maybe there were little things that were boring. I don't know. I still do recommend that one if you're looking for something different than your usual. So those are my top 10 plus books of the year. I would love to know what books you would add to your top 10 list from 2025. If you've read any of the books that I just mentioned, and what books you are looking forward to in 2026. Actually, before I go, I want to go through the books that I read in 2025 that I did not like. Just rapid fire. Listen for the Lie, The Boyfriend, Home is Where the Bodies Are, P.S. I Hate You, If Something Happens to Me, Things We Leave Unfinished, Grounds for Murder, God of the Woods, Anxious People, Gallagher, Drink Store, Beach Reads and Deadly Deeds, Wild Dark Shore, Our Last Resort, Sociopath's Guide to Successful Marriage, and Atmosphere. So if you want to hear my thoughts on why I didn't like any of those books, let me know, and I'm happy to go into it. I don't know if this is a universal experience when you get pregnant or postpartum, but everything was like really hard for me to enjoy until like just a couple months ago. So a lot of the books that were on my top 10 list came from the last few months of the year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 2026 and hopefully enjoying my time reading a lot more than I did. I will say I've already read a few books this year and I really enjoyed Best Offer Wins. That will definitely be one of my top books of 2026. So if you're looking for another new release, add that one to your list. Okay, bye.